So we understand, in truth, that Giriraj is Krishna. Absolutely non-different from Krishna. A self-manifesting deity of Krishna. And every single little part of Govardhan is Krishna himself. But the saints and scriptures tell we can't take this whimsically. We cannot just take a stone from Govardhan Hill and take it home with us. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, who is the Prayojana Acharya. It's the highest, most serious type of worship in pure unalloyed love. To take any single pebble from Govardhan Hill, away from Govardhan Hill, is an offense unless we have profuse blessings, permission from our spiritual masters, and it's given to us as a gift with those blessings. So please, it's not a souvenir. It's Krishna's body, and we cannot even disconnect a single pebble of Krishna's body without profuse blessings, permissions, instructions, and the giving of the heart of great souls. At the same time, Srimati Radharani in Srimad Bhagavatam, she declares Govardhan Hill as Haridas Varaya. His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj has described this very eloquently a few days back. In essence, our scriptures tell that Haridas Varaya means the greatest devotee of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Radha. Krishna who's playing the role of his supreme devotee, to taste the sweetness of her devotion and to also personify and distribute the sweetness of that love to the people of this world. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Godadveshe Namaha. Rupa Goswami understood Lord Chaitanya, his inner heart and his purpose. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Rupa Goswami, seeing his humility, his devotion, he actually empowered Rupa Goswami's heart with his own love, with Sri Radha's love. And Rupa Goswami is telling, of all incarnations, Lord Chaitanya is the most munificent. Because he's exemplifying and distributing the love of the gopis of Vrindavan in this age of Kali Yuga to the most unqualified people. He's Patita Pavana Hetu, Tava Avatar. He's the avatar that's reaching down to the lowest people and giving them the highest gift. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played the role of a devotee. And in a similar, like Govardhan, who is Krishna, is playing the role of a devotee. And who knows better what a devotee is than the supreme ultimate devotee, Srimati Radharani. And she's speaking in Srimad Bhagavatam. It doesn't have her name, but acharyas like Raghunath Das Goswami and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and others, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they identified that this is Srimati Radharani speaking. That of all the devotees, Govardhan is the greatest. Because his whole existence is finding happiness only in making Krishna happy. And what makes Krishna most happy is making Krishna's devotees happy and facilitating devotional service. The cows. Krishna loves his cows, and the cows love Krishna. In the morning, the cows won't give any milk until Krishna comes. They're just stamping their hooves, just waiting for Krishna and mooing and mooing and mooing. And when Krishna comes, in their own sweet cow voices, they're chanting Krishna's names. And then they give unlimited quantities of milk, like nectar. Govardhan Hill, in the ecstasy of service, his hairs are standing on end in the form of the blades of grass. Unlimited blades of grass. And each blade, every single blade without exception. Because understand that Giriraj is the supreme person in the role of a devotee, of servant of the servant of the servant. Every single blade of grass is meticulously being offered with the qualities of sugandha. It is intoxicatingly fragrant. So fragrant that the cows, just smelling it, go mad with ecstasy. And sukamala, which means each and every blade of grass is a unique, special offering that is so soft, so that it not only tastes delicious, but it feels so good in the mouth of the cow. And just comes right out like. How many of you have herded cows in your life? Please raise your hand. Sachinandan Maharaj is a gopi at Yadubar also. Well, in my early days as a devotee, for about 6 years, I herded cows. And I'm not going to go into too many details. But with a little stick, we try to take them to places where the best grass was. And sometimes, you know, the cows, the grass is really like dry and stuck in the ground, and you see the cows go. Sometimes they chew on it and they just let it fall out because it's not very good. But Govardhan Hill, just practically jumps in their mouth when they touch it. And it's so soft and so nectarine and sweetness and so fragrant. And the cows are in ecstasy. They're intoxicated, eating grass. And it's also pushtivardhana. That means every single blade of grass is fully conscious to make the cows healthy, full of enthusiasm, and strong, and happy. And each single blade of grass is dugdha sampak, which means it produces the most intoxicating beverage of milk. And the cows are reciprocating with Govardhan, because by eating the grass, they're in so much ecstasy. Their milk is turning into, the grass is turning into ecstatic liquid prem. And the cows water the grass with their milk. That is Giriraj's offering. And the stones on Govardhan Hill, in the summer, they're cool. In the winter, they're warm. Any calf, any cow, any gopa, any gopi, Krishna, Balaram, Radharani, anyone who steps on, immediately the stone becomes soft like butter. Just to give pleasure to Krishna. And waterfalls, lakes. Our scriptures tell us that the nectar of the demigods is nothing in taste and fragrance compared to every drop of water from every lake, waterfall, and little river on Govardhan Hill. And when the gopas and the gopis and let us take example, the cows drink it and then the gopas drink it, they become so much surcharged with happiness because this is Govardhan's love. This is Govardhan's premananda in the manifestation of his tears of love in the form of all the water. And when the gopas drink it, they roll in the ground, in the dust, and scream out the names of Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
And sometimes the gopis, how fortunate is Govardhan Hill? That if we want to embrace Krishna, it's a very, very special secret. But Giriraj is embracing Krishna all day long in the water of these beautiful lakes, right in the open. And the caves of Govardhan Hill, perfect places for Radharani and Sri Krishna, Krishna and Gopas, to rest. Giriraj has furniture made out of precious jewels, beautiful mirrors. In this way, in the most thorough ways, Giriraj is there to give every detail of pleasure to facilitate all of Krishna's devotees to be happy. And this is such an important philosophical principle. Haridas Varya means he's most dear to Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he taught us, Gopi Bharatur Padakamalayora Dasa 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 Das Anudas. The highest aspiration he was yearning for in the mood of Sri Radha is to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord of the Gopis. And Madbhakta Puja Pyatika. Krishna says, to worship my devotees is more pleasing to me than worshiping me. So when Srimati Radharani is declaring Giriraj to be Haridas Varya, the devotee that's most pleasing to Krishna, she wants the whole world to know that this is what it means to please Krishna. to give one's body, mind, words, life to serve those who Krishna loves. To facilitate others to give happiness to Krishna. Govardhan is not trying to show I'm giving better pleasure than others. Govardhan is taking the lowest position at everyone's feet to give pleasure to those who are giving pleasure to Krishna. To facilitate others to give pleasure to Krishna. And when Krishna sees that that is our real happiness, to facilitate other devotees giving pleasure to Krishna, then that makes us most dear to Krishna. If we try to step on other people's heads to give pleasure to Krishna, we don't understand. Giriraj lets everybody walk on his head so that they could give pleasure to Krishna. And therefore he is most dear to Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that those who give this message to my devotees, and ultimately everyone is Krishna's devotees, are most dear to me. To bring other people to Krishna and to find happiness in seeing other people. Giriraj's greatest happiness is seeing Radha and Krishna dancing together in the caves of Govardhan, doing Rasa Lila, the Rasa Stali. To see Krishna and Balaram herding the cows and all the cows looking at Krishna lovingly and giving their milk for Krishna, and the gopas playing beautiful games, and just to be supplying water and supplying some rocks for them to play on is his greatest happiness. You see, if we want to understand what Vrindavan is, we must understand this principle. What gives pleasure to Krishna? To facilitate everyone to give pleasure to Krishna is what will make us dear to Krishna. And how Srila Prabhupada manifested that, we were discussing. On Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day, so many of our dear God brothers and God sisters while some people were here in Vrindavan circumambulating Govardhan Hill, Srila Prabhupada was circumambulating the planet Earth 11 times. Just to facilitate people the great happiness of loving Krishna. Haridas Varga. That is the spirit of Sri Braj Bhumi. Govardhan facilitates endless leelas and inspires great personalities to broadcast his glories all over the world. Now, with your permission, we will take you on a brief parikrama of Govardhan Hill. Yesterday, many of you worshipped Shri Giriraj by performing the parikrama. For some, it is an austerity. For some, it is an ecstasy. For others, it is both, according to our realizations. But Giriraj is Krishna. Ye yatamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. According to our consciousness, as we approach Krishna, Krishna is going to reciprocate accordingly. We have all come in this yatra as humble beggars. You see, if you think you're great, you have zero standing in Vrindavan. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, when they first met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they proclaimed themselves to be the lowest of the low, the most fallen of all the fallen. Trinadapi sunichena, taro ibasi hishnana, amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. We cultivate love for Vrindavan, love for Krishna, through the chanting of the holy names. And in order to approach the holy dham, the holy form of the Lord as the deity, or in his supreme form of the holy name, we must cultivate humility, forgiveness, and learn how to respect others from the heart. So to come to Vrindavan in the proper mood is to come as beggars. What can we give to Krishna? Except we're begging for Krishna to accept our love. So when we come to Vrindavan, we shouldn't come thinking, I will enjoy. We should come thinking, I will become purified. Now, I didn't tell you this before you came, because I didn't get to talk to you before. But this is really the essence of why we come here, to become purified. And sometimes purification is really fun, and sometimes it appears to be very painful. Have any of you had any of that experience during this yatra? Your coughing kind of answers the questions. There's about 5,000 of you, or us. So sometimes crowding in the buses and crowding here and crowding there and crowding everywhere else. And sometimes it could be, it's not the only way to be done. But if that's what's happening to you here in Vrindavan, then it's very fast-tracked purification. Because whether we're all alone and broken-hearted in Vrindavan, or whether there's 5,000 people we're standing in line to get a little prasad, whatever the situation may be, if we just take shelter of Krishna, that I've come here to love you and to serve you and to please you, then you'll make such great spiritual progress. That's why we have come. So, yesterday, many of you with your bare lotus feet performed the parikrama. Some of you from Bombay or Pune or London or New York or other such places, you're not accustomed to going bare feet, so it may have been an austerity. But I like to cite one poem from a great Brijavasi writer. He said, when I'm in Vrindavan walking barefoot, I feel 10 million times more happiness than the happiness of being liberated in the Supreme Brahman. I feel 10 million times more happiness than Brahman realization every time a sacred thorn pierces into my foot. Haribo. I'm sure that realization gives you solace. Everything is according to our perception. Srila Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that if somebody bites you, it hurts. Now, sannyasis don't know that much about this, so I'm just quoting the acharyas. But when your lover bites you, it feels really good. Because you don't feel just the teeth, you feel the love. So similarly, when there's pain in Vrindavan, if we understand that this is Krishna's loving way of purifying me, if you see it that way, tatena kampam susamikshamano, and you're grateful with folded palms, say, thank you, Krishna, I'm yours. Then you become happy. But if you just see it from a mundane perspective without Krishna, you're getting purified, but you're losing such a great opportunity to get so much more. To be thankful to Krishna for whatever experience happens to us in Vrindavan. And to turn to Krishna with humility and thank Him as we loudly cry out together His holy name. Today we will begin a parikrama through sound vibration. Because transcendental sound is non-different from the object of the sound. When we chant Krishna's names, Krishna is dancing on our tongue and entering into our ears and our heart. Similarly, Harikatha talks about Krishna, are non-different than Krishna. So simply taking a parikrama through describing various holy places around Sri Giriraj, we're doing the parikrama together while your lotus-like feet are relaxing. And the congregational coughing carries on. We will begin at Manasi Ganga. Sri Rupa Goswami recommends, of course you can begin Govardhan Parikrama anywhere, but Rupa Goswami recommends beginning at Manasi Ganga because according to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Vrindavan, he came to Sri Govardhan. And the first Shila he saw, he embraced and bathed that Shila with the tears of his love. And he went to Manasi Ganga. And first he took his bath. The history of Manasi Ganga begins with a beautiful story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you remember a few days ago in our description of Gokul Mahavan, after Krishna was bound by the ropes of the love of Mother Yashoda, and he took the grinding mortar that he was tied to and crawled through the Yamala Arjuna trees, and the trees broke. That was a major disruption. Soon after that, all the leading cowherd men of Gokul met together. And Upananda, the eldest brother of Nanda Maharaj, who was his chief minister, he spoke with great love. He said, Madhavan is no longer a safe place. So many difficulties are coming upon us. First there was Putana, this Rakshashi, and then there was Shakatasura, and then Trinavarta. And now we see these gigantic trees are falling, and at any moment, Krishna could be harmed, but by the grace of Lord Vishnu, he's always being protected. This is not a safe place. We should all move to the forest of Vrindavan. He explained that between Madhavan and Nandagang, or Nandeshwar, is the forest of Vrindavan. So immediately everybody accepted. Now this is the way the Brijavasis are. And one person just says, let's go, and all the cows and all the calves and all the gopas and all the gopis, they just move their entire village. They loaded ox carts. They put the old people and the babies on the ox carts. They put the cows and the calves and the bulls in the front. And Yashoda Mai and Rohini Devi, Krishna was only about 3.5 years old, as was Balaramji. And they were all just, the whole while, as they're moving in their ox carts and walking by foot, all the millions of cows, they're all chanting Krishna's names, singing Krishna's beautiful pastimes. And when they came to the Vrindavan forest, Krishna and Balaram were especially charmed to see Govardhan Hill. The beauty of the Yamuna as she was flowing through this forest. And the wonderful kalpavriksha trees everywhere. Very soon after, Krishna was given charge of the calves, because he and his friends were less than 4 years old. And Srila Prabhupada explains in a beautiful purport how Krishna is the supreme controller of all the universes. But in Vrindavan, he's not fit to take care of the cows. So he's given charge of the calves. And even though Krishna and Balaram are the sons of Nanda and Yashoda, the Brajaraj and Brajarani, still, he does his seva. So Krishna and the Gopas with Balaram, they would go out every day with so many, many calves. And they played. After they got away from home and came into the pastures and the forests, they would see such ripe, delicious fruits in the trees, and they were so attracted. Sometimes they would take a piece of stone and tie a rope to it, and then throw the stone and make the stone wrap around the fruit, and then pull the string and eat the fruits. And some of them didn't even bother with the strings. They were such good at their aim that they would throw the stone and it would hit the fruit and the fruit would fall down and all the gopas would say, well done, well done. And other times they'd get these amalaki fruits, which were like balls, and they'd play so many ball games. Baseball, football, basketball, and even cricket. They are all perverted reflections of amalaki ball. That the gopas would play with Krishna in the spiritual. And they would run and they would jump and play hide and seek and imitate the movements and the sounds of different animals and birds. One day, an asura, his name was Vatsasura, he was so cunning, so devious and cruel, that he took the form of a tiny, innocent-looking little calf. His only intention was to kill Krishna and Balaram. Now, what is more innocent and helpless looking than a calf? They're very small. They always look kind of scared. They have beautiful little glistening lotus eyes, and when they look at you, it's with such innocence. And calves, they like to chew on your saris or dhotis because they just see everyone like their own little mother. This calf was following Krishna and Balaram. And Krishna turned to Balaram and indicated to him that, you see this sweet little innocent-looking calf? He's a monstrous demon that has come to kill us. Krishna and Balaram very slowly, quietly, discreetly, they walked behind little Vatsasura. Suddenly Krishna grabbed him by the hind legs. He started twirling him around over his head so faster, until Vatsasura died of dizziness. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki. And after Vatsasura was liberated, what was left of his body, Krishna just, and Vatsasura was twirling in the sky. And Krishna very specifically aimed him. Because Krishna likes to do many things through one act. Krishna saw a kapita tree. And kapita trees are very high and the fruits are hard to get. And he knew that the gopas loved kapita fruits. So, Vatsasura landed right on the top of a kapita tree, and then he grew into this enormous, gigantic monster size. And in doing so, he made all these fruits fall down. And all the little gopas were clapping their hands and jumping up and down, crying out, "Well done, well done." And the devatas were showering flowers on Krishna. And then all the gopas enjoyed the fruits. Now Thakur Bhakti Vinod explains that Vatsasura represents a childish mentality that is prone to bad association.